The Seattle Dragons' performance week 5 was really, really interesting to me because, first of all, Seattle lost to Houston. They lost 32-23. But I have a great feeling about Seattle's team after this loss, which is a very rare feeling. Usually you lose and you go, it stinks. But for me, Seattle had a gigantic step forward during week 5 of the XFL season. They had a gigantic step forward in progress against Houston. I mean, they gave the number one, the best team in the XFL, undefeated Houston, a great game. Seattle led 14-0, and Houston never had a lead in this game until the fourth quarter. It says a lot. It really does. Like, wow. Seattle brought their best and were really competitive and almost beat the, quote, best team in the XFL. That's a big deal. And the biggest bright spot in this game was the quarterback for Seattle, BJ Daniels. So Seattle's 1-4, but I'm telling you, this team is better than their record would suggest. And a large part of why they were so bad at the beginning of the year was the former starting quarterback, Brandon Silvers. They have a new starting quarterback. BJ Daniels is the new sheriff in town. And if you've watched the Seattle Dragons in the last 2 weeks, they haven't won in the last 2 weeks, but they've really, really put out a better performance. They almost beat St. Louis, one of the better teams in the league. They almost beat Houston just last week. And by the way, it was at Houston, it was at St. Louis, in that incredibly tough-to-win dome in St. Louis. That's impressive. And Saturday, the Dragons were heavy underdogs going into Houston, and they almost beat the Houston Roughnecks at their own place. And that says a lot to me about the progress the Seattle Dragons are making. Nobody believed in them, and they still almost won. And I gotta say, I love watching BJ Daniels, the new quarterback for Seattle, play. He's both incredibly entertaining, but also really, really compelling as a quarterback. Yeah, like he can run. And his ability to run has a huge impact on Seattle's offense, for sure. He runs for yards, he avoids sacks, he can extend plays, keep his eyes downfield, throw the ball downfield. It's awesome. And he does make things easier for running backs in the zone read scheme. Because sometimes you'll run a zone read, he'll keep the ball, he'll run to the edge, and it forces a defensive end to be honest. Defensive ends have to respect the fact that BJ Daniels might run, which allows running backs more room to run inside. If BJ Daniels hands off the ball, the defensive end can't just crash inside immediately to tackle the running back because they have to respect that BJ Daniels could keep it. They also ran a quarterback sweep a couple times, one for a touchdown. It was great. And BJ Daniels is a much better quarterback than the former Seattle quarterback, Brandon Silvers, for so many reasons. And he's the right guy. I mean, the Dragons' chances of winning are significantly better with BJ Daniels as the quarterback. He regularly makes the right decision. He picks the right matchup. BJ Daniels seems to understand why Jim Zorn, the head coach and play caller, calls the plays he's calling. I mean, Jim Zorn calls a play, and him and BJ are on the same page. BJ goes, he's calling the play for this reason, to attack the defense this way. And the more I watch, the more I understand it's even more clear. Brandon Silvers was the problem in the early couple weeks for the Seattle Dragons. It wasn't Jim Zorn. A lot of people were questioning Jim Zorn. I was even at some points going, look, I love Jim. Is he the right guy? What's going on? No. The problems were Brandon Silvers because Jim Zorn and BJ Daniels work really well together. Now, BJ Daniels is not perfect as a passer. We've talked about his ability as a quarterback. We'll talk about that a little more. We're going to get to why he's so compelling as a quarterback in a minute. But there was a play on the first and goal where BJ Daniels took his eyes down too quickly. He needed to keep his eyes up and be more patient. A shallow route came open over the middle. He should have been looking. He just really kind of rushed through his reads a little bit, took off running rather than being patient in the pocket. That comes with reps. And it's hard when you're a quarterback who has the ability to run. It's tempting to want to just run. It really is. There was a 3rd and 2 where, again, BJ Daniels extended a play rather than being disciplined and throwing to his check down who was open. The check down would have gotten the first down easily. Instead, they didn't get it. BJ Daniels is not a perfect quarterback. No one's saying that. I'm not saying that, certainly. But he still executes way better than Brandon Silvers, the former quarterback for Seattle, did. Again, I love watching BJ Daniels play quarterback. He's aggressive, man. He had a stiff arm. Oh, it was brilliant. And the announcers were like, I don't like that. No, I love that. It's really this. BJ Daniels has this attitude of a guy who's not playing scared at all. And he's the kind of guy you would want to follow into battle. I called BJ Daniels compelling. Here's why. BJ Daniels is a great vocal leader and encourager on the football field. There is a massive difference between Brandon Silvers, the former quarterback in Seattle, who was not a leader at all. And we'll get into I've got some further problems with Brandon Silvers even this week. I'm like, what are you doing? No, Brandon Silvers was not a leader. BJ Daniels is the opposite. He is the man. He's a great leader. He's vocal. He encourages. He's the kind of guy who rallies his teammates to victory. I know they haven't won yet. I'm telling you, BJ Daniels is the right guy. He gives the Seattle Dragons the best opportunity to win. The locker room supports him. They love him. And in a sideline interview, BJ Daniels showed just how much he gets it. He credited his teammates. He said, man, we're doing this together. Rather than talking about himself, he talked about his teammates. And that's the kind of guy he is. It's very clear. He's not just saying that for the camera. That really, truly is who BJ Daniels is, because you watch the way he interacts on the sideline. You hear him talk to his teammates. I know people in that locker room. They love him there. He gets it. He's loud. He's encouraging. He's phenomenal. And it's really, really fascinating to me. Brandon Silvers, the former quarterback, was inactive this week. Inactive, meaning not suited up to play at all. Not participating last week. And it seems to me like Brandon Silvers is being a big baby. And I'm not impressed with Brandon Silvers, the man. The quarterback, the man, the leader, non-existent. Brandon Silvers was given so many opportunities to succeed. I mean, they really they were patient. They kept saying, Brandon, come on. Brandon, come on. Brandon, come on. It would be one thing for Brandon Silvers to be mad about being benched if he never got a fair opportunity. If he never was able to play and they never gave him a shot, fair enough, be mad. I mean, I sided with Tampa Bay quarterback Quinton Flowers when there was the situation in the early weeks for Tampa Bay was they kept switching quarterbacks back and forth. Quinton Flowers, Taylor Cornelius, Quinton Flowers, Taylor Cornelius, coming on and off the field. It's awful. That's not a situation that's good for any quarterback. And so when Quinton Flowers, the quarterback in Tampa Bay, took a leave of absence from the team and requested a trade, I supported him. I said, yeah, that's not a good situation for anybody. I support the quarterback there. But that's not what happened with Brandon Silvers. Brandon Silvers was given a fair shot and many, many opportunities. In fact, you could argue, many people would, that Seattle was far too patient with Brandon Silvers, that their season might be over already because they didn't make this switch soon enough. I mean, I watched the DC quarterback, Cardell Jones, this weekend get benched. And Cardell Jones was a good leader. He stayed engaged. He was involved in the game. When the guy who replaced him, Tyree Jackson, scored a touchdown, Cardell Jones was the first person out there high-fiving him, giving him a shoulder bump, and celebrating with his teammates. That's what a good leader does. But in contrast, Brandon Silvers hurt himself. And he hurt his own team by not playing, by not being prepared, by not being ready on the sideline. What would have happened if BJ Daniels had gotten hurt? You know who would have played quarterback? Keenan Reynolds, a guy playing receiver for Seattle, who did play a little bit of quarterback in college, but he's a running quarterback, doesn't have a great arm. If BJ Daniels had gotten hurt, Seattle was screwed, and part of that's because their guy, Brandon Silvers, is selfish and wasn't there. I don't know, man. The Seattle issues in the first couple weeks were because Brandon Silvers wasn't a good enough quarterback. He went out late at night. He did. Wasn't prepared. Was a bad leader on game days. Jim Zorn is a solid coach. I like Jim Zorn. The problem was Brandon Silvers. Now let's talk about Jim Zorn because I like him. He's the kind of guy I would love to play for Jim Zorn. He's a former quarterback. He's got this cool attitude, really like California cool. Just the kind of guy. I don't even know what California cool means because a lot of people say that. I just said it because everyone said it my whole life. He's just got this calming presence, this demeanor about him. Jim Zorn is just a calm dude, the kind of guy you're like, I would love to work with you. I mean, I saw earlier this year when the quarterback screwed up for Seattle, Jim Zorn was calm, gave very helpful, clear, instructional advice, gave him information. It was great. So I love Jim Zorn. And there was this funny moment where B.J. Daniels, the quarterback for Seattle, had blood on his jersey, and Jim Zorn goes, oh, man, you're a cool guy. Only cool guys have blood on their jerseys, and it was just fun. There's a cool vibe to Jim Zorn I really like, but he's not just a likable guy. He's also a good play caller. There was a touchdown with B.J. Daniels. They ran Q Trojan, which is a quarterback sweep to the right. They ran a motion across, and what the motion did, it's the little details that make Jim Zorn a good play caller. They ran a motion across, which isolated the right side of the field. There was the corner ran across the field with the receiver, meaning there was not really a perimeter player to make a tackle on B.J. Daniels. They had a running back leading up with a block. They ran quarterback sweep to the right, easy touchdown, bam, on 1st and goal. And that's a great play call. Multiple times I've seen Jim Zorn do little things like that I go, it's a great play call. I really am impressed with Jim Zorn. He's a good, likable guy. He's also a good play caller. And then we need to give a lot of credit to the Seattle Dragons defensive line. They did a great job containing the Houston quarterback, P.J. Walker. I'm not a big stats guy, but listen to this. P.J. Walker ran the ball 7 times for only 6 yards this weekend. That's because Seattle had a really smart pass rush design. A lot of other XFL teams need to copy what Seattle did. The defensive ends had a really wide pass rush, and their goal, their mission, their objective was we got to keep P.J. Walker in front of us. P.J. Walker, the Houston quarterback, has got a really great ability to run around and extend plays, and they said, you know what? We're going to keep our eyes on him. He's going to be in front of us. Wherever he goes, we can follow him because we're looking at him the whole time. He's not going to get behind us. That's how you stop P.J. Walker. You fan out, you play a kind of contained pass rush, and it worked really well. P.J. Walker did not scramble, did not extend plays, and throw the ball downfield. It didn't happen. It wasn't possible. And here's the thing. P.J. Walker makes a couple mistakes a game. You need to capitalize on those moments. Seattle did. Seattle had 2 interceptions. They had a forced fumble. I am telling you, there is now a template to beat P.J. Walker. Do what Seattle did. Seattle wasn't able to score enough points in the end, but they had an opportunity to win that game. Seattle, against a really good Houston team, and this quarterback who's probably MVP, gave other teams an example of how to beat Houston, and they came up just short. I mean, I'm telling you, Seattle had the ball 1st and 10, 3 minutes, 23 seconds left. They couldn't drive down the field and score, but the defense gave them that opportunity. The defense was good enough to stop P.J. Walker. Seattle couldn't capitalize. Seattle's offense couldn't. But there is now a way. If you want to, we've seen a way to beat P.J. Walker. One more thing. There was that final play where, Seattle should have gotten the ball with 2 seconds left on the 22-yard line and a chance to tie the game. But did Seattle really get massively, massively screwed? No, they didn't. Did they get screwed a little bit? Sure. I mean, you look at it that way, but I just will always go back to 3 minutes, 23 seconds left, 1st and 10 for Seattle, and they couldn't drive down the field and score. On a 3rd and 10, B.J. Daniels fumbled the ball, gave it back to Houston, game over. Everyone's saying Seattle didn't have a fair opportunity. They did have an opportunity. 3 minutes, 23 seconds left. They had an opportunity, and they didn't make it happen. They did not deliver. Those are my takeaways from Seattle Week 5. It was a really fun performance to watch, a great game, really enjoyable, and I feel really good about Seattle moving forward. B.J. Daniels is the guy moving forward, and he should be.